Folks, we're visiting today with Alexander Durand, also known as Alex Durand, with Mountain Table in Renwick, West Virginia. Of course, that's Greenbrier County. Alex, thanks for being on the show today.
Oh, thank you, Jim. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us and joining our podcast, and I look forward to learning more about your business.
Positively West Virginia is powered by BreezeLine high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, and Storymaker. With the help of these sponsors, we are able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one featured in today's episode.
All right, Alex, tell us about Mountain Table. What is it you do?
So, Mountain Table is first and foremost, we are an organic coffee roaster. We're located in Renwick, West Virginia, in the northern part of Greenbrier County. We renovated a dive bar that was in our very small town. With that had a pretty bad reputation in some iterations. The most recent one, they had closed because of COVID, and it was a wonderful family that owned it.
Yeah.
It was a serendipitous kind of moment where we had this huge building. We wanted to roast coffee. And so, in addition to roasting coffee, we also have a cafe where we serve farm to table breakfast, and we also do suppers. Um, Greenbrier County, as you know, is full of some really awesome dining establishments.
Yes.
Um, and we didn't really know where to go food wise, so we've tested the waters for the last year and a half just doing Tuesday suppers. So you can
Mm.
only come to our establishment on Tuesdays and for supper, and we change the menu every Tuesday to keep it exciting.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks for that overview. I appreciate that. We're going to learn more about your business, but Alex, first of all, tell us where you're from. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in um, I grew up in Huntington, West Virginia,
Yeah,
and there's three of us here. So there's my other two partners are Nadine Senneville and Nicole Petulette.
yeah,
Um, and they grew up in Connecticut. Been here for a while. Um, and so I just wanted to give them some recognition as well. But
yeah.
yeah, Huntington for about 20 years. I lived in Elkins, West Virginia. I worked in the brewing industry and then moved down here to Greenbrier County to work at Greenbrier Valley Brewing Company. And then that's kind of where the transition happened when they had closed in that iteration,
Yeah,
is when this building had kind of come up and
yeah,
just went
very
all in
cool.
coffee.
So, what inspired you to get into the coffee roasting business in the first place?
Well, we really wanted to
Mm,
have our own business. And
mm,
uh, a friend of mine in Franklin, West Virginia, they were actually getting out of the coffee roasting business. They had a large, I mean, I've worked in manufacturing and production for the last 8 or 9 years. And she had a very large roaster, so it would be a production coffee roaster.
mm.
Um, my partner Nadine was in a job that she didn't really enjoy. And we just kind of went out on a limb. The building had come up for sale, and there's not much in Renwick. We're full of like a really awesome community, but there's not really any businesses aside from like a gas station. So,
Mm-hmm.
there's a community center, but there's not that many places for people to meet and share their stories.
Mm.
So it seemed like a really cool opportunity to really immerse ourselves in our community because we live here just like 5 minutes down the road from our shop.
Wow. Yeah, that's super cool. So, tell us a little bit about specifically the coffee and maybe a couple of items that you're specifically known for.
Yeah, so we have four flagships. The We specialize in single origin, and we also specialize in custom roasts.
Mhm.
So our best seller is our red bandana, which is a Columbia named after what I believe is the most iconic symbol for West Virginia. And we also have Seneca Shadows, which is a Sumatra single origin,
Mm.
a darker roast. We have one called Stop and Smell the Sunflowers. We are on a mission to plant a bunch of sunflowers around our business. Um, and we also have another one called Fallen Gendarme, which is named after the feature that was a part of Seneca Rocks. Um, so we kind of wanted to tell stories with those bags that represented our interests in West Virginia in a positive dialogue. But what we really want to do is share like anyone's story. So if you wanted a gym roast or a positively roast,
Yeah.
we invite businesses to come in. We roast coffee. We drink a bunch of coffee. We get really hyped up on caffeine, and we create a custom blend for you.
Mm.
So this way, when you sell at your store, your cafe, you're selling your story and not just like these are my friends or this business from Rennick. We're using your branding and you're expressing yourself in your cooperation with other local business.
Yeah, that's great. So when you meet somebody for the first time, Alex, what do you tell them that you do? What's your 30-second
Um,
pitch?
so my official title is the Wakey Juice Pusher. So I love to talk about coffee.
Yeah.
We'll it I mean it's kind of an interesting environment because I didn't realize how many people don't drink coffee. um
Mm.
but yeah, so the pitch would be have you ever been to Rennick, West Virginia? I own a restaurant, a farm to table restaurant that features over 30 producers. We have a coffee roaster. It's the kind of environment in which you would come in and you're not really limited to your table. People, when they dine here, they kind of get up, walk around, they hang out with their neighbors.
Mm.
We are a business that creates community and are very immersed in it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Appreciate all that you're doing and the way you say that so eloquently. What would you say, Alex, is the thing you're most excited about right now for Mountain Table?
That's a really good question, Jim. There's always a mix of excitement and anxiety with making decisions
That's
for a
good.
business. So
Sure.
we are actually we're about to launch a brunch. This is something that has been on the radar for
Mm.
since we got the building. We've got all the space. I mean, we could seat 80 people here.
Mm.
But we didn't want to be locked down to a restaurant in a small town. So we've been trying to take a ready instead of rushed approach. So we did the Tuesdays,
Mm.
locked in the Tuesdays, have a huge following for the Tuesdays. We usually um will feed 70 to 100 people on a Tuesday night.
Well,
And we wanted to move into something else to increase revenue. Um, so we're doing these brunches. We wanted to have something out just that would stand out a little bit differently, and still keep with our mission. Our mission is farm to table. We don't really, I mean, we're huge environmentalists, so we don't really want to have too much waste, which goes hand in hand with some businesses. So it's really managing waste. So we're launching this brunch that we have limited seating every half hour. It's buffet style. You can come in, you're going to get a mimosa or some juice. And then you serve yourself. And we're managing the portions based off of like smaller groups at a time. So this way, food isn't dying on the buffet. And it's a cozy environment. Not people are rushing the buffet because we filled up with 50 people. Like we really want to create an atmosphere with it, and I'm very very excited for it. It's going to start in 2 days, and we're actually prepping for it right now.
that's
We've
great.
got so February every Sunday in February from 10 to 2, we're going to do it's going to be open to the public. This first one is our friends and family.
That's great.
So we can kind of soft open. I think it's going to be really great, and I think we're going to be able to support a lot more local businesses and farmers,
Yeah, love that.
and kind of connect people to their ingredients.
That's awesome. Alex, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is Positively West Virginia.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
And we're back. We're visiting today with the owner and founder, one of the owners and founders of Mountain Table, Alex Durand. Alex, I think about your business and I'm thinking Rennick, West Virginia. I've never been there. Of course, I've been to Greenbrier County, but never been to Rennick. What's the geography that you serve? Where do your customers live and come from?
So our customers, we get a lot. We've got a lot of haulers. Rennick is mostly just a bunch of long roads that loop back onto 219.
Okay.
And so we get a lot of people. I mean, when we first opened, the people in Rennick were astounded how long they hadn't seen their neighbors. And they got to meet some of their neighbors who lived just right down the road. And so we also service the people from Hillsborough have been coming in. Word of mouth has been coming around. We use some farmers from Hillsborough as well. We get a nice bleed and a lot of regulars from Lewisburg and Frankfurt. So the Lewisburg, like I said, they have awesome small businesses and places to dine. But Tuesday is, I think, a very non-compete day. So it's nice to have something a little bit different. And so, yeah, we've even gotten some people. I mean, some people have come from North Carolina because they have family here. So a lot of people have been coming over from Virginia as well. It's been really cool to watch it kind of grow.
Yeah.
When we first started.
Yeah. I was going to ask you when you first started. What was that? What was your start date?
So we had purchased the building January 4th of 2023. We did a bunch of renovations. And then we didn't really know. We were doing coffee roasting, and I was meeting accounts, and we were setting up accounts, and we really hadn't planned out all of what we were going to do for the restaurant or the community engagement element. So we started with something that was near and dear to our hearts, which is working with our community center, and we hosted their farmers market. Which actually created a lot of lasting relationships and partnerships that we've carried through. And that farmers market ran from May until October. You could come in. You could be able to come in. You'd have a nice craft beer or a cocktail at our establishment. I invited food trucks, which was pretty rare because they didn't really allow food trucks in Lewisburg yet. So we were able to invigorate these other small businesses and set up on our parking lot. And then the food trucks and the farmers, I mean, now there's kind of seasonal. So we made a decision to kind of go all in and start serving food in October. And we've been doing it every Tuesday since.
That's great. I love it. I always like to say, what's one of the most interesting things you've seen since you've opened your business?
The sense of, I mean, I've worked in plenty of restaurants and kitchens, but I'd never owned a restaurant that had such a dense, I don't know how to put this. So here's some quotes. So some people have said that the suppers are a linchpin for their week, and it reminds them of what day it is, because a lot of our customers are retired. They'll come in and they value being able to get good food and having a place to drink some spirits. We close at 8. We're not a late night bar. But to see them love it so much because they get to hang out with each other, which is great. And I think no matter, it's a really nice environment because no matter like their politics or religion, everybody agrees on good food and good conversation. And I think like that's kind of what the most interesting thing that we have here is. It's not and this is another quote from a customer. He says, while we have decorated our establishment and all these reservations or renovations, we've mostly decorated our business with our customers.
That's great. The people. I always say the people of West Virginia, I think, is what really makes us special and stand out.
I completely agree.
Yeah, that's great. So, Alex, as far as being into this, you're in your second year now, basically, right? How do you get the word out there now? Is it word of mouth? Talk a little bit about attracting customers.
Yeah, that's always been kind of tricky. Finding budget for marketing is always hard. I mean, one thing that we have found is word of mouth is great. We were doing some advertisement through Facebook. Um, and we were having some killer nights almost we were selling out in the beginning of food. I mean, you don't really know what to expect. We I mean, it's kind of like a pop-up kitchen mentality because the
Yeah.
menu changes every Tuesday.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the most uh, the I'm sorry there. I was having too many thoughts.
That's okay. We were just
Uh,
talking about how you attract customers and word of mouth.
yeah, so with the marketing being,
Hmm.
we don't have the biggest marketing budget. Word of mouth is the most important. If you put really interesting content out on Facebook, the one of our main focuses with marketing is we don't just market not only our products, we're marketing our partnerships. We're aggregating with our posts.
Mm.
While the image might just have a simple biscuit, or like some toast, the jam is sourced from a local partner that we incorporate in our story.
Hmm.
The bread is sourced from a local partner that we incorporate in the story. We're
Mm.
just now looking into radio advertisement with a local radio station, um, which I'm really excited about. But it's a pretty big leap, and we've been pretty grassroots of a lot of things. Like we were putting
Yeah.
up posters for our farmers markets and whatnot.
Yeah, that's great. It's like guerrilla marketing is what we used to
Hmm.
call it back in the day, like GUERILLA, right? Guerrilla,
Yeah. Hmm.
like guerrilla warfare. That's awesome. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is Positively West Virginia. Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from BreezeLine. Voted best in Mountaineer Country for their reliable, high-speed fiber internet for a low cost, BreezeLine is the best gig in town. You know, here at Interaction Media, we rely on high-speed internet every single day to ensure we can deliver the best content possible for our clients and when we publish Positively West Virginia each week. That's why we use BreezeLine. It's affordable, fast, and they're great people as well. Learn more about BreezeLine's internet, TV, and mobile options at breezeline.com. We're back. Our guest today is Alex Durand. He's one of the owners and founders of Mountain Table in Renwick, West Virginia, Greenbrier County. Alex, right now, in terms of growing your business, I mean, you're in this, you're building community. You mentioned you're going to be opening and having this brunch once a week. What's the highest level of challenge you're facing in terms of growing?
Well, we were hit pretty hard recently, and I'm hoping that it'll stabilize. And staying positive about it. The big challenge that is we as a coffee roaster, we I mean there's no American products, so we got hit pretty hard with the tariffs. And after a year, like a 20 to 30% increase on some of them.
Mm.
And so after a year of creating these established relationships with these businesses, and not, I mean, when we sell and work with you as a cafe, I mean, we care about you selling the product.
Mm.
We want you to succeed with it. And yeah, so we had to do some adjustments and raise some prices. That's been pretty that's been pretty rough. Um, some hurdles too that we've come across the year in the last couple of years has been learning when food comes up, and like you can bank on selling a bunch of street corn at a festival or an event, but if there's a drought, you're not going to be able to get
Mm.
that local quality.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a balance there. I mean, we're 50% coffee roasters
Yeah.
and we're 50% restaurant, so
Yeah.
that's a bit of a juggling act as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. What's the vision that you have long term for Mountain Table?
Um, well, we really want the the thing that I would like to get out of it, if it was all said and done,
Yeah.
would be a message of, if there was more awareness about how the importance of the distance between you and your food,
Mm.
and the people that are growing it right here.
Mm.
If that awareness could spread, I think that would be, and the quality of it too, and the impacts on some things in the environment.
Mm.
Um, and that's why our minimum standard is organic coffee. And then we also, another minimum accolade is fairly traded. So we always make sure that all of our coffees have that certification. And then with like if you were to if you, I mean, the minimizing the distance between you and the food though is the most important. Like if you were to eat here with
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
and you asked, my favorite question here is, where did this come from? And I
Yeah.
love to just point out the window and say like right over that hill, like 2 miles.
That's great. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Well, when I really agree with that. Okay. My wife and I, especially, spring, summer, and fall, we have a neighborhood farm share with a farm that's literally 2 miles from us.
yeah.
And once a week, I pick up this bag of produce, and sometimes it's stuff that I don't even know what it is, like bok choy. It'll be in our, I'm like, what do I do with this? Well, it's kind of fun. You do a little research, maybe a little Chat GPT search, and come up with a recipe, right?
Mhm,
Anyway, the point is that, man, you're onto something, because this farm to table movement is just not something that's cool. It's very good for our bodies.
mhm,
As we think about what we put in our mouth, that's actually our fuel, right? You wouldn't put a can of Coca-Cola in your gas tank of your vehicle, right? But we
mhm,
we do that to our bodies, you know.
mhm.
And it kind of breaks my heart, even walking through the grocery store. I've been on a bit of a sugar fast, starting in January of 2025, and eliminated all processed sugar from my diet. And I'm like, it's disheartening, man. You walk into the grocery store and everything you pick up has sugar in it,
Yeah.
and so maybe talk a little bit about that.
So the importance of nutrition,
Yeah.
and yeah, definitely fresh, is the best.
Hmm.
We try to come up, so our menus are a little bit different. It's like a pop-up mentality. So
Yeah.
there's only 3 items. Um, most of the time, I always have. I mean, I'm gonna give away my secrets here, but I always have a vegan option that I don't mark as vegan. I have
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 customers that come in that are vegan, and I
Yeah.
like to be able to service them.
Yeah.
But if I mark it as vegan, sometimes people are like really, really deterred by it. But if I don't, I find like 9 times out of 10, that'll be a very, very popular item for that evening. Um, yeah, and I mean, I had this insane experience when we had finally, we were able to take a little break. We took a little vacation. Running a business for a year and a half. We were able to step away for just a week. And went to Fayette County, and I was in a farm stand, like this little local um aggregator there, and they had all these local farmers
Mm.
and producers, and a majority of them were from Greenbrier County,
Wow.
keeping it local, which is great. And I was thinking about it, I was like, wow, it's insane how many options we have here. I get a guy that comes once a week, and he grows the most beautiful oyster mushrooms and Italian mushrooms.
Mm.
There's been times where product has come just after it was shortly after it was slaughtered, so it wasn't even frozen. The ability to eat food fresh is important, and then good quality too. So we hold our producers at a certain standard. I want humane practices for their animals, organic practices on their farms as much as possible. That's kind of our vetting process, with the majority of them. And then if they have, I mean, I don't expect them to be certified. I feel like if they're certified organic, they have to be a way bigger operation. It's almost impossible to come up with the funding to be a certified organic small farm.
Right.
Um, but yeah, and I think it's important to work with farmers, ask them questions about what they're growing. Go to farmers markets. I think everybody needs to go to farmers markets as much as they can,
Mm.
and kind of shop fresh.
I love it. That's great wisdom. Alex, obviously, as a business owner, you're a leader in your community there in Renwick, West Virginia. What do you think is one of the most important attributes of a successful business leader today?
It's a good question. I mean, I think it's really important to listen to your customers. I mean, that's who you're
Mm.
selling to.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'm also not afraid of feedback. Um, and you got to take that with a grain. I mean, a grain of salt sometimes, but you really do got to listen to it. I've known plenty of people that don't take constructive criticism very well, or
Mm.
it's just not translated very well from the customer standpoint.
Yeah.
But you got to take it as a constructive criticism. So I mean, I would say that's a very, very important thing. Listening to your customers, seeing what they want. I mean, I could have a bajillion great ideas, that I think are really cool and based off of my interest. But when you involve yourself in a community, I mean,
Hmm.
you're servicing and giving them something that they look forward to, not just the things that you're really passionate about. You have to be very flexible and malleable.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there for sure. And I appreciate what you're saying. I tend to look at it like falling in love with the problem as opposed to falling in love with your solution. You know, a lot of
Hmm.
people think they have this great idea and they take it to market, and nobody really wants to fork over their cold hard cash, for it. And whereas if you're listening to people, your customers, it's an easy way um, to let them be heard, right? By, you know, responding to their need. Hey, they have this
Hmm.
request, and then subsequently they'll support you for that.
Yeah.
And that's a good way of, I think, especially in a small community. I think especially in the food industry, anytime you're serving the public, it's very important to be listening. So thank you for sharing that wisdom. I think it's very important lesson for all of us to hear. Alex, we've covered a tremendous amount of ground in this interview, learning about you and the story of Mountain Table and how you guys got started, a little bit about your business. As we're kind of wrapping up our time here, is there anything else you think folks should know about your story or that of Mountain Table?
Yeah, no, I mean, one thing that I really like to tell people, I tell them that we have a business, um, is if I ask them if they've ever been to Rennick.
Yeah,
And I think it's important that, you give these small towns, and West Virginia is mostly haulers.
yeah,
You give these small towns and find the gems like we were talking about,
yeah,
um, are our people. The treasure's not in the ground, man. It's walking around, and they have the biggest hearts here in the haulers. Um, and yeah, so I would say, yeah, when you're driving around West Virginia, think about too, which I think about is where are these people getting their food?
yeah.
Where are they getting it? And that's mostly why we started doing the food
Yeah,
here. Is
I
it's a
love it.
30-minute drive down to Lewisburg, and then a 30-minute drive back, or you have the Dollar General. Um, and so when you drive through these towns, if you see like a small little mom and pop restaurant, check it out. Like go in there. Like Anthony Bourdain was really big on this too. Is like go in there, you know, drink a beer if they got it, try the sauce, get the special.
Yeah.
If they have something named after the business, try it. Really, really support them. Support as many local businesses in the small towns as you can when
Yes,
driving through
sir.
it.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. What's one piece of advice you'd give to somebody thinking about starting a business in a small town?
Um, gosh, um, planning is key. For one, if
Mm,
you're going to, you really gotta set it up based off of the need. You can with the iterations. And so, for instance, the iterations of the building that I am in has been owned by many of great small families and families in the area. But it just didn't take on some of them, where there was a bar, and then there was a pool hall. Um, and the community, whilst people really enjoy hanging out at certain bars, it didn't really say much about our community either. Like that was the place. There's
mm.
people that have lived in this community for since they were born. I'd never been into this building until we took it over.
Wow.
um and so I mean I would say like really really plant roots in your community, because that's where it's going to grow.
Mm,
If you're not engaged, if you're not giving back to, you're not really listening, and I mean, while you might have an awesome product and people might latch to it. I think it's a lot easier when you build a following, with people that are just as passionate about new products or your story.
yeah.
That's what I think is important for all businesses. And I think we are beholden and we are responsible as business owners to help. West Virginia has a very negative dialogue associated, or has had a very negative dialogue associated with it. And we all need to come up and change that dialogue as positively as possible and make a joyful noise about our area.
Yes, sir. I 100% believe what you're saying too. That's why we started Positively West Virginia.
Yeah.
Truthfully, yeah, that's great. Alexander, Alex, as we as we wrap up our show, how can our listeners learn more about Mountain Table and maybe even get in contact with you?
Yeah, great. So the best way of keeping up with Mountain Table is through our socials. You can check us out through Facebook. That's where we're posting all of our menus, pictures of
Mm,
what we're doing. We're a very most of our menus and stuff are planned out for the rest of the year, and all of our events are planned out. So there's tons of calendars. We're doing all these workshops and stuff too, where we can come in and learn how to make sourdough. All of that is on our Facebook, and then our Instagram as well. There's also tons of information about not only our business, but other businesses that support Mountain Table and carry our products on our website.
great.
Um, you can contact us through either the Facebook, or all of our phone numbers and emails are on our website and Facebook as well. So I would love to hear from any of you.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. We'll make sure we have all that in the show notes. And when we post these on social media and on the podcast platforms, Alex, we'll make sure that we give you guys a shout out and links to all of that stuff that you just mentioned. So thank you. Our guest once again is Alex Durand. He's one of the owners of Mountain Table in Renwick, West Virginia, Greenbrier County. If you're down that way, if you're heading to Lewisburg or anywhere in Greenbrier County, Fayette County, stop over, pay him a visit, and check out Mountain Table. Alex, it's been an honor to have you on the podcast today. I think what you're doing is really great, and I just want to encourage you to keep up the great work, man.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate this very much, and I hope you stay warm up there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will do that. Folks, that's a wrap on another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on our show, drop us a line on our website at positivelywv.com. And of course, we appreciate your comments, feedback, reviews, and sharing stories just like Alex's and Mountain Tables on your social media channels as well. It really helps get the word out there about their business and supporting these small businesses across the state of West Virginia. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, Mr. Jimmy Murray behind the controls over there. Jimmy, thank you. I'm Jim Matuga, your host. Stay positive, West Virginia.
We'd like to thank our partners, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, Interaction Media, Storymaker, and our studio sponsor, BreezeLine, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positivelywv.com/sponsor.